On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, we got Big Sarge back on the show. Y'all requested him. He's back. And we're talking about Brevin Jordan being out for the season. How does that impact the Houston Texans? And how can the Houston Texans contain Justin Jefferson?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers, to this Friday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you to all of our first-time listeners and viewers coming by to listen to Cody, myself, and Big Sarge talk Texans here on the show. And shout out to all of our everydayers, our player Himalayas, coming back to continue to listen to some Texan talk here with the guys. Please subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texan podcast on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your Texans football analyst, Johnson Sports Guy Hickman. My man Cody Davis in Detroit, still holding it down for down south on the other side of the screen. And my man Big Sarge with the smile. He's back to talk Texans. Before we dive into Texans talk, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play five. Who don't like a $45 come up? Cody, it's been a couple of days since I seen you, man. Take it away.
And on this Friday installment of Locked On Texans, what's up, Sarge? How you doing, man?
Man, I am doing fantabulous. I cannot complain, man. I'm like, ooh, they done brought me back, but I feel good. Like, but you know what? Though? I was like, I was waiting because before y'all had me on the show, I kept looking at my phone and I never seen the Cash App. So I was like, well, maybe you know what? It's just gonna come after the show.
Brother,
hey, look, hey, Cody.
I got something better than money. I got something better than that Cadillac. I pray for you.
Hey, look, y'all ain't offered me one red nickel, but I'm just begging anyway. What's going on, y'all? Thank y'all for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's always an honor and a pleasure, and I really mean that, to be on Locked On Texans with you guys. The best Texans podcast around. I'm gonna go on record and say it, and you know they can get mad if they want to.
Let them get mad, Sarge. But on this Friday installment of Locked On Texans, we all going to talk about I guess this might be one of the most intriguing games heading into the week 3 of the 2024 NFL season. Houston Texans, Minnesota Vikings, both teams 2-0. It seems like this is going to be a revenge game for several players on both sides of the ball. However, before we dive into that, we do got to talk about the big breaking news that came out on Thursday. Sarge, I want to start with you. Brevin Jordan out for the season due to ACL tear, if I'm correct. What are your thoughts about Brevin Jordan being out for the season, and how much do you feel that Cade Stover is definitely ready to fill in that vacancy? Because we all know he's definitely the next man up.
Well, first, let me say that I want to say, you know, get well soon. Brevin Jordan, one of the best guys that's in the locker room to talk to, man.
I miss him, man. I miss him. You know, that was actually one of my guys.
Yes, for sure, man. And he's one of those guys that he always has time for you. Always has time for you. And I remember that when they did the gala that they had, the season premiere. I mean, he hosted it. And so he was there on the red carpet the whole time, just talking to the players, people that was coming, talking to us. And he's just one of those guys, man, that, you know, he brings a lot of joy and a lot of youthfulness, you know, to the Houston Texans locker room, and anywhere he's around, he always has this huge smile on his face. So I just want to say, you know, get well soon. Coach DeMeco Ryans, when he was talking about it on Wednesday, you know, said that it's that's a huge blow to this team. He said that he felt like Brevin was going to have a breakout year this year, and you know, it was something that I think that we could see, especially his second year in this Bobby Slowick offense. They used him a little bit more, you know, and let me say it like this. Side note, bro, you gotta, I've only seen one person like play on a torn Achilles, and that was the late great Kobe Bryant. I mean, I seen him come in and shoot, not play, but shoot the free throw. And I was like, so when I found out, I didn't realize that he was hurt. And then they started saying, well, we didn't find out until after the game. And then he even posted like he played the whole game hurt. And so you look at that, you're like, that's a warrior mentality. That's one of the ones that you look at it and you say, okay, this is a player that loves his teammates and going to stay out there to 0-0-0 on the clock. Now, with all that being said, right? I'm giving Brevin Jordan his flowers. We're about to see the emergence of Cade Stover.
Agreed.
And this is where the scouts for the Houston Texans are amazing. 2, Cade Stover is built for this and ready for this. And the third thing I want to say is that we got to give Nick Caserio his flowers as well. He went out and he got a guy that's familiar with his all-pro quarterback, his all-pro quarterback, his top 5 quarterback. The camaraderie that Cade and CJ have together, the fact that they've played together, they know each other, they know exactly what to do. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, then CJ called, he's like my brother.
Yeah, both of them was calling him the brother, because I remember Kay said that when I asked him about CJ at the combine.
Yeah, and so you look at it as, they took a chance on him, they drafted him, they was like, well, I mean, just in case of emergency, break glass, and it's time to break the glass. And so having Cade Stover there, somebody who's familiar with CJ and knows his tendencies as far as his passing habits, and CJ knowing exactly where he's going to be and what he can do, I think that we're about to see, like I said, the emergence of Cade Stover.
I agree, and I think that specifically in this game going up against the Minnesota Vikings, Cade Stover now being the next guy up may work out a little bit more in Houston's favor now that they know Brevin Jordan won't be playing. But I think he does some things that are very intriguing. Swiss Army knife for this team, can block out of the backfield. We saw it in the first game. He lined up at fullback 12 times. A great option for play action in the second game against the Chicago Bears. So I do look for him to be everywhere across his field to be able to make plays. So to stay on the Brevin Jordan topic, and now that he's out for Bobby, they're going to be playing a team that runs a lot of cover 2.
Yeah.
And I think this is where you may want to utilize your tight ends a little bit more, especially considering, hey, man, we can hurt teams in the middle of the field in a seam of a defense. So do you think that between Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover, this is a big opportunity for those tight ends in that unit to kind of shine for a Houston Texans offense that came off of a rough stretch against the Chicago Bears?
Man, listen, even before the injury to Brevin Jordan, I was begging and hoping that I could see more of a 2 tight end set, because they have the personnel to do that. I mean, if we keeping it 100, even when Brevin Jordan was healthy, they could almost run double tights and have Cade Stover coming out the backfield as a fullback, and that's 3 options for CJ. And it also is, because Dalton Schultz has bought into blocking this year. He's blocking a whole lot better.
Much improvement.
Yes. And so we know Cade Stover is going to block, and Brevin Jordan, he was going to block. So like I said, now that he's out, I would love to see that. John, I think you and I think we all talked about this at one point. I think that I told you I would love to see Dalton Schultz line up at the tight end position with Cade Stover in the backfield, and then you motion him out and put him right on the hip of Dalton Schultz and run the offense there, because now look how much pressure you're putting on the defense, because it's like, well, we know Dalton can catch, and then we know this look, we know Country Boy can catch as well. And so because he is country. He is country. The thing is too is that he's a tight end, but he's one of those hybrid tight ends as well, because you can also line him up as a wideout. And so
I hate to say this because I don't like to put a lot of pressure on these young guys. In terms of comparisons, but I watched the tight end for years dominate.
Oh Lord! I know where this is going.
I watched the tight end. And what's Cade Stover number?
87, ain't it?
But to your point, Sarge, he is a nasty blocker.
But wait, John, hold on before you finish. Let me just ask you this real quick. I want to ask you this before you go, and I apologize for cutting you off. does it look like they can run a similar system to what the Patriots did when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez? God rest his soul.
They can, but
Okay.
those teams didn't have Nico where he is right now with Tank Dell and a Stephon. So they didn't have to run through their tight ends. Those tight ends were getting a lot of targets between their group. But in terms of similar opportunities that can be created, oh yeah, they can.
Okay.
Like I would love to see maybe caged over red zone only at this point, lined up out wide to maybe a bigger body on a smaller cornerback or a smaller DB, and you throw it up there and just say, hey man, go get it. I mean, that's like we say, he's a big country guy. Big sausage and gravy type, biscuit type eating guy. So like physically, he's a fool in a good way. Of course, he's a nasty blocker. He not only gives effort, but he's the ferociousness is there.
Yep.
He can go make the plays, and he's not that bad of a route runner. Yeah, he can improve, but from a tight end standpoint, he can get open when you need him to get open at this point in his career. So like, I can see the similarities there. I do see the similarities there, and I think that as the season goes on, Houston has, and we talk about this a lot, Bobby Slow, they got a lot of weapons that they could use. It's just, when will you use it? When will you roll it out? When will you premiere this player to have more of a bigger role in the offense? I think this week it should be Dalton Schultz, but same position group, same type of player in Cade Stover. When we come back, though, we got to talk about Justin Jefferson, number one receiver in the game right now, because I think 12 is coming for that title. But how can the Houston Texans play Justin Jefferson? How can they slow him down? He went out with an injury, but he's on track to play Sunday. I think it's going to be a very fun matchup to see. So when we come back, more Locked On Texans on the other side of the break. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows you and others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individuals with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of a 5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on a RIA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any network. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosure, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate my change. Gold memberships is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And I'm also here to tell you guys about FanDuel, who are still hooking up their customers right now through the 22nd. Don't got that much time left. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV based plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. A talking point in Texans Twitter today was, what do you do with Derek Stingley this Sunday as he goes up against his former LSU teammate? They won the Natty back in 2019. Justin Jefferson. What do you do with him, Sarge?
Whew.
What does Derek Stingley want to do?
Hey, listen, let me tell you like this, man. When you look at a player like Justin Jefferson, man, you're looking at one of the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL, and he ain't number 3. So on any Sunday, you talking about either Justin Jefferson or you're talking about Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Devontae Adams, and they flip-flop from Sunday to Sunday. Man, Justin Jefferson is one of those guys who has all the tools, all the intangibles. He has everything that you would want. The problem is, coming into this game on Sunday, he got the one thing that he can't really control, and that's health. We don't know how healthy he's going to be on Sunday. So if you got to go up against 70%, 72% Justin Jefferson,
Who's still a
that
damn
may,
good player at that,
yeah,
at that percentage.
but I mean, a 72% Justin Jefferson going up against 100% Derek Stingley is a long day for Justin Jefferson. And so if you ask Derek, right, if you ask Derek Stingley, he's one of those guys. Derek is very, very quiet. He'll talk,
As
but
a
he
church
likes to,
mouse.
right, but he likes to let his play do a lot of the talking. And so he don't run from no smoke, and he doesn't mind playing any number one wide receiver that you put in front of him. And remember, when they lost to the Browns, what was that, week 16?
Week 16.
Mhm.
Week 16, they lost to the Browns, and Amari Cooper went off. And then when they came back and they had to play him in that wild card game, who was traveling with Amari Cooper?
Sting.
And who shut him down?
Sting.
So you see what I'm saying? He's one of those guys. Last week, and I thought that, when I was watching the game against the Bears at first, I was like, is Stingley moving from side to side? I wasn't used to seeing him, but move from side to side like that on a consistent basis. Then I realized, so he's really basically going wherever DJ Moore is going, because that's where he knows that Keenan Allen, he's going to shut him down. So I don't know if they're going to have Addison this week. The Vikings are going to have Addison this week, and if they only have Justin Jefferson, then I'm pretty sure that Stingley would be on him a lot. And I think that that's a matchup also that may even bother Justin Jefferson a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because Derek is a big cornerback. He's a big cornerback. He's also a cornerback that can run. He's also a cornerback with natural football instincts. Derek is one of those ones that knows, okay, Derek's clock and the quarterback's clock are synchronized. When Derek is running with and he said this before on record, when Derek is running with the wide receiver, he says the ball should be out by now. And so he starts looking back at the ball. He doesn't even have to, how some cornerbacks would say, or defensive backs would say, I know the ball is coming because I can see the wide receiver's eyes get big, and they start trying to position themselves. Derek doesn't even do that. He's like, the ball should be coming. If it's going to come, it should be coming right about now. And so he turns around and he looks. He's looking for the ball too, all the while still running with that wide receiver. And so playing against Justin Jefferson, like I say, one of the best, if not the best, wide receivers in the game, Derek is going to want to take that challenge. And I will say this, with the amount of pressure that those defensive ends can get, it should make it a long day on Sam Darnold, which should help Derek. But, and don't tell Derek I said this, okay? Look, I know Derek is a friend of the show. Hey, Derek, just skip past this part because I know you don't want to hear it. I would still put over the top help with Derek on certain, during certain times with Kalen Bullock. I'm not using Jimmy Ward. Yeah. I'm not using Eric Murray. I'm using Kalen Bullock,
the rook,
athletic, long rangy, ball hawking safety who knows how to play angles as well. Because Justin Jefferson, he gets the right angle on you, he's gone.
I also want to add this really quick. One thing I noticed about Sting is he wakes up in the morning, and I think he plays football differently compared to depending on who he's playing. At practice throughout training camp, there was times where we would be like, man, he got the best of Derek Stingley, but then when he lined up against Nico, he's sharp. This year so far, depending on who's in front of him or depending on how long it takes him to get going, now you see the better version of him. So I think him going up against Justin Jefferson, we may see the best version of Derek Stingley to this point of the season, because he knows I can't fall asleep. I can't bite on a double move. I can't gamble on some of these because I know that I got Jettas and he gonna make a play with the ball in his hands. So I do think we're going to get the best version of Derek Stingley week 3.
I do want to mention this really quick. Jordan Addison did not practice for the second consecutive day on Thursday, so I highly doubt that he's going to play on Sunday. So that's Sarge, we had this conversation already, man. I'm not going to lie. I just think the football fandom in me wants to see Derek Stingley Jr. go one-on-one with Justin Jefferson, because if he can go out there and hold his own one-on-one against Justin Jefferson, you're looking at the official coming out party of Derek Stingley Jr. And I think all three of us can agree that, Derek Stingley, we've been saying it all year, all-pro corner, plain and simple. But Sarge, since we talking about, what can the Houston Texans do with Justin Jefferson, how do you see the Houston Texans offensive line kind of holding their own against the Vikings defensive line unit? There is a guy that you are very close with on that defensive side of the ball, go by the name of Jonathan Grenard. And I'm pretty sure he's going to come in with a huge chip on his shoulder to come in and prove his work. You talk about a revenge game. I think he's going to be the main one on an individual level to try to make a statement against his former team. But, we take a look at how the offensive line looked against the Chicago Bears last week. Now, you're going up against, in some ways, a better version of a more productive defensive line. One, what's your confidence level? And two, even though, Juice Scruggs has returned back to practice, just because he's not 100%, do you still think that's going to have an impact on whether or not he's going to be able to keep the pocket clean or be as efficient in his run blocking like we've seen against the Indianapolis Colts in week 1?
So, first of all, shout out to my guy. I mean, this may be the wrong platform, but shout out to my guy, Jonathan Grenard. I'm a huge JG fan.
No. Y'all two like this. Best friends.
Right. And in the first 2 games, JG has not looked bad at all. And so maybe that Brian Flores defense fits him like the D'Amico Ryans defense did last year. And so the confidence that I have, though, Cody, this is the problem. This is the problem that I feel like JG is going to have. The tackles are too familiar with you.
They know him.
They too familiar with you. I was talking with Titus Howard on today, right tackle, and when I was talking to him about going up against JG, he said JG's my guy. That's what he said. JG my guy. JG. He said, but I went up against him for 4 years, and so I'm not saying that gives me any advantage, because I'm pretty sure he may have some new things he's added to his arsenal. He said, but the familiarity of going up against him for those 4 years, some of those things that he used to do, he's still probably going to try to use, because that's what made him successful. That's what got him the big contract with the Minnesota Vikings. And so, he said, I'm going to, some of the things I'll be able to recall from our times and our matchups in practice and training camps and things like that. And so then I went to Laramie Tunsil, and Laramie just laughed. And Laramie's like, same thing. Hey, man, JG was a great teammate to me. This, that, another. He said, but, come Sunday, I got to handle my business. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't PFF rank him the highest rated pass blocking left tackle last week?
Despite the false starts,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Despite the false starts.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And so and like I say, JG's my guy, but man, it may be a long day for JG on either side. Now, the confidence that I have in the offensive line, I'm not gonna say who. According to a source, one of the Texans offensive linemen told me that, I said, how are you going to be able to prepare for this Brian Flores type defense, especially with everything that they do at the pre-snap? And he said,
pre-snap, delay blitz.
Yep. And he said, yes, there's a lot that goes on. He said, there's a lot that goes on. We've seen it on tape. He said, but the one thing that helps us is there's 2 keys. There's 2 keys to us being able to. Now, I ain't gonna say it now because I don't want to give away the game plan. I'll tell y'all away from here. But there's 2 keys in that Brian Flores system that's gonna always tell you what's coming. And the good thing is you got D'Amico Ryans who can sit there and decipher and break down the defense and tell them every time, I need you to key here, and I need you to key here. I need you to key here. I need you to key here. And so with all of that going on, all of that movement, what they said was, and I talked to Shaq Mason, and Shaq Mason said, with all that movement going on, we got to still be able to do what we do. So if we know the play, we're gonna still run our play, no matter what they're doing over there. We know what we're supposed to be doing. So I have all the confidence in the world, and I'm glad that Juice Scruggs is back because of the way that he plays with Shaq Mason and the way that he plays with King and Green.
And I think, as I cut you off, but I think
No,
his biggest attribute right now, even if he's not 100%, is just being able to be a better communicator
yes.
as a center compared to Jared Patterson. No disrespect to Jared Patterson, but they drafted Juice to be a center. He plays center coming out of college. This is what he does. And I think that calling out some of the pressures, making sure your quarterback is ready, making sure Green on the opposite side of you is prepared, and you guys already had that camaraderie on that field. I think that's what he brings right now. He could be 80% and still be better than 100% of Jared Patterson.
And real quick, Cody, before you go, let me just say this. No disrespect to Brian Flores. Not at all. I think he's a great defensive coordinator. Now we're talking about head coach. That's another discussion for another time.
The Tua hater.
I think that Brian Flores is an amazing defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that Brian Flores had to scheme for New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones week 1. Week 2, he had to scheme for Brock Purdy. Then that San Francisco offense with no Christian McCaffrey, the 2023 NFL Offensive Player of the Year, who had over 2,000 combined yards with receiving and rushing last year. You played Brock Purdy and you played Daniel Jones. You haven't played CJ Stroud. And that's where it gets different. So you can you can kamikaze, you can put your 11 players on the carousel, and before pre-snap, just have them all ring around the roses, just running around. It doesn't matter because you're playing against a guy that if you show him the same defense twice, he's going to beat it. You're going to have to do so many things. And I believe that the Texans are going to have the ball more because I think the defense is going to take it away from Sam Darnold. And if you do that, now you're giving CJ more and more opportunities to see that. So when you want to move one safety down, move one safety high, and then as soon as the ball high, he shoots back. Well, guess what? CJ going to be like, okay, cool. Bam, you shoot back. Don't worry. I already got a route for that. Tank is right there. Stephon is right there. Oh, we didn't already move Cade out of the backfield and into the flats. And so that's all I'm saying is that I'm not taking anything away from Brian Flores and what he calls as far as defense is concerned. He just ain't called a defense against CJ Stroud.
I liked everything that you said, and I agree. However, this offense has looked shaky at times when they cannot establish the run. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk about whether or not Cam Akers can help the Houston Texans get something in this run game Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings.
And guys, this is the perfect time to let you know about Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Sit back and watch the winnings roll in. You can even now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And best way to get in on the action in most states is with Prize Picks, as they are available in California, Texas, and Georgia, unlike some other apps. And if you want to play alongside Prize Picks community members like Drewski, Joe Budden, you can now find community plays under the promo tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Download Prize Picks today and use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL and on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Before we close out today's show, Big Sarge, y'all see the smile? He's here talking Texans. Question: what to make of Cam Akers' potential start for this Sunday? Now, we're going to make it quick, but I do want to say that I think he fits this system already, has a lot of familiarity in the system. He ran the ball well in preseason. The best running back in preseason. Joe Mixon didn't play, of course. But I think the only concern that I have right now is health. Can he withstand 4 quarters of football in the NFL? Aside from that, I don't necessarily have a worry because I think he can at least replicate close to what we think we'd get out of Joe Mixon if he's on the field.
Oh,
So I
Hey,
don't.
John.
Okay, so Joe Mixon
Hey,
ran
you
for
been tripping all week, man.
No. Joe Mixon ran for 159. No, I don't think Cam Akers gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, in that game, Joe Mixon ran for what 4.8 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere along those lines.
He ran the ball 25 times, but 4.8. So I'm saying, do I think Cam Akers can run the ball 5.5 yards per pop, 4.4 yards per pop? With the opportunities, can he be successful? Not necessarily the end result in terms of yards and touchdowns.
so speaking with Bobby Slowick today during the press conference, I asked him about, I said that Cam Akers came into the Houston Texans training camp just looking for an opportunity to make a team. He just wanted to, after sustaining so many injuries that he's had. And we're talking about a Super Bowl winning running back. And so, trying to just get back in the league. And so he wanted to do whatever he could to get back into the league. And then he ended up making the team. And now he's going to potentially start if Joe Mixon can't go. I'm pretty sure I could say, pretty sure that Dameon Pierce won't be able to go. His hamstring injury is still lingering, and so I don't see him playing this Sunday. Joe Mixon, it's still a 50-50 chance that he could play, just depending on how much they can get that ankle worked on. But in the case that neither one of them can't, Bobby said that it's good to have a guy that that's ready to go, that a veteran who could step right in and who is familiar with this scheme, who can run this scheme, and a guy who knows the game. And so I look at it as, I don't know if, and you all brought this up, the only thing that I can see happening is fatigue being a factor for him because he has not played the amount of snaps that he's probably going to play on Sunday. But the good thing is that I think you're going to see a lot more of Dare Ogunbowale as well. Dare is also a big back. Dare is a good third down back. And so you could bring out Akers on third down and put Dare in there and still get some production. Now, the one thing that I love about Cam Akers, he still has the vision. And as long as you have vision in this offense, you're going to be successful because there's a lot of things that open up on the backside. There's a lot of holes that will open up if you just stay patient. Cam Akers knows this. Cam Akers has done it before. And he's also, I think that one of the most underrated things that people haven't talked about when watching Cam Akers, he's physical. Like, he's physical. He will hit you, or he will take a hit, or
You got little man syndrome, I'll tell you that.
Right. Hey, I know you all remember when he mushed stiff arm that Chicago Bears defender as he was running on the side. And so I think that Cam Akers can be sustainable against this Minnesota Vikings D. I'm thinking Miami because of Brian Flores used to be the coach. Against this Minnesota Vikings defense. He can give you exactly what you need. And especially, side note, I don't believe in the Minnesota Vikings cornerbacks and Stephon Gilmore and Byron Murphy.
Y'all better pray to God they don't put Stephon on Tank Dell.
And that's why. And so you're going to have to now, okay, we're going to have to come out of whatever we are because we got these receivers we got to cover. And that's going to open it up for Cam Akers.
Thank y'all for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. We have been graced by Big Sarge's presence. So before you ungrace us, grace everybody else and let them know where they can find all of your amazing work.
Man, y'all made me feel good today. Hey, y'all keep the cash app.
You can say that's because we're doing it. It's all free love. We ain't got no money to give. We got no money to take.
And you can find me at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end on the app formerly known as Twitter. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Big Sarge Media. You can find me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. And you can read all my articles at www.bigsargemedia.com.
And I'm John from Sports Guy Hickman. Follow me on Twitter at John_. I'm never calling it X, but John _Hickman 12. I make sure that you follow, subscribe, like, and comment to the Locked On Texans podcast as well.
As always, I'm your host, Cody M. Davis. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at Cody Davis _24. Once again, that's Cody COTYDAVIS _24. Really quick, Sarge. You forgot to tell them one thing. Your morning shows and your happy hours. They normally start around 9:30. The happy hours around about 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Hey, look, man. Yes, the morning show starts around 9, in between 9 and 9:15 every morning, live on YouTube, and it is broadcasted on the app formerly known as Twitter, on X. And then the happy hour is anywhere between 5 and 7, because you know my motto, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So it's happy hour, in the afternoons. And so, man, I really appreciate that. That show is, I want to thank everybody who support, especially YouTube, because I know that you all support it as well. And
I agree with what y'all said about I want to see them more still tipping, and I don't want to see them more Slim Thug, and I don't want to see them
Clay Walker.
I don't want to see it. I'm still tipped out.
So I done had Cody on the show, and I'm just waiting on John Hickman to join me here soon. So
we talked about
an invitation.
We just talked about that. Don't do that for the listeners. We just talked about that.
I'm doing it for the YouTube comments.
Don't do that. We today, y'all. Cap.
Oh my goodness. But Sarge, man, you do great work, man. And like I told you earlier, man, I fit that into my schedule these days, man, because it's a really good show. So after you get done listening to Locked On Texans, be sure to check out Big Sarge, the live show of Big Sarge, man. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.